Hi, I'm Monica Cox, and I am an academician, but most recently I've also become an entrepreneur. So today I'd like to talk to you just about some of the inside tips for becoming an academic entrepreneur. So maybe these are things that you would not be taught in a class or something that you were not informed of prior to becoming a faculty member or a professional in whatever area that you're in. So just to let you know just a little bit about my entrepreneurial history, I've always had a fascination for entrepreneurship. I think that academicians are entrepreneurs whether or not they know it, because many people who work at research institutions do have to support their students and try to bring in money within an enterprise, hopefully millions of dollars over the course of their academic lives. But there's just a lot that has to occur when it comes to personnel, particularly graduate students or postdocs, even undergraduate students, and just making sure that the research and the tasks get done as well. So I'd like to think that there's a combination of leadership and management that's required to be a great professor. But many of those skills translate over into entrepreneurship as well. So I tell people, if they have a passion for translating research into practice, or if they want to help people beyond the traditional boundaries of a classroom environment, I think that it's amazing and excellent for them to consider entrepreneurship. My background is in engineering education, and I got a PhD in leadership and policy studies. So I also have a knowledge of industrial engineering, which is my master's degree area, and I have an undergraduate degree in math. So I've always had this fascination for numbers and business and productivity as well as efficiency. So entrepreneurship was just a natural fit for me. My company is called STEMinit LLC. And I have a suite of offerings that range from research that I've done in engineering assessment all the way to a brand that I called Prepare to be a Pioneer. This video is a part of the Prepare to be a Pioneer brand, and I've had an opportunity to work with lawyers to trademark this brand and to put it under the umbrella of STEMinit. But if you'd like to find out more information about that, you're welcome to go to www.preparetobeapioneer.com, and you can read my blogs, and you can also get in touch with me and just listen to my story on YouTube, and also read more about my background as a country girl from Alabama who happened to be an engineering professor, and just have a fascination for knowledge and for research. But today, I briefly want to talk to you about whether or not academic entrepreneurship may be for you, but also some of the lessons that I've learned as an academic entrepreneur. I worked with a person during my sabbatical last year who happened to be someone who worked with Oprah Winfrey. And a lot of people wonder, well, why are you working with someone like that has nothing to do with engineering education? But my vision is to work long-term in media and to find connections between STEM education, particularly engineering education and media. So I wanted to work with someone like Tyler Perry or someone like that. So I attended a conference, a Women of Color conference, that was sponsored by an advanced program, which was funded by the National Science Foundation. And I met a person who worked with Oprah Winfrey and had a contact to Tyler Perry as well. So we decided that although we didn't have that much media integration at the time of my sabbatical, we did have common interests in diversity in tech and tech innovation. So particularly looking at mobile applications, social networking, and things like that. Although that relationship was not successful, it ended up being just really rough. I did still learn a lot from it. And it took me a long time to realize that sometimes failures teach you just as much as successes. And I want to share just a few of those things for you today. So first of all, although we ended on shaky ground, I think that it's important to begin a relationship and a professional collaboration and an entrepreneurial collaboration by making sure that you're very clear about the expectations for both parties. So as a professor, my interests come in intellectual property and the production of knowledge. So I thought that I should have probably done a better job saying that I wanted to make sure that all of the IP or intellectual property issues were taken care of up front, so that if and when we did part ways, we would be very clear about who owns what. So I did obtain legal representation, and I realized over time that this particular collaboration was not going to work out because my personality and his personality were very different. I'm a leader. I'm very assertive. He's also a leader, and he's very assertive. And his bottom line is money. My bottom line was knowledge and was the advancement of that knowledge, and we ended up having to part ways. So once again, just make sure that you're explicit about the expectations that you have for both parties in the collaboration. Another thing is to try as best you can to confirm that you are compatible. For us, it wasn't just a matter of us being in different realms, but we clashed personality-wise. I am very inclusive and very open, very transparent, and he was a little bit more closed off than I was. So when it came to revealing information, I was an open book and he was not. So I don't think that individually these characteristics are terrible, but when you have people who are trying to work together, it's important to make sure that you communicate and that you, I think, are very transparent about what's going on and what needs to be communicated to your team. Another point is that we also worked on a virtual team. So we had developers who were in Turkey. We had other team members who were in North Carolina, someone who was, I think, in Maryland, and I was in Indiana. He was in DC. So we had to be really tight about the shared documents, timelines, and moving ahead. Because one thing about tech is that it's very time sensitive, and you have to make sure that you are producing something with excellence, but you're also trying to stay ahead of the competition. So once again, the issue with this is that we just were not compatible at all, and we didn't find out till a little bit later, although we had signs that there was some bumpiness along the way. The next point that I want to bring up is related to legal issues. I mentioned a little bit before about legal issues, but I highly recommend that you find an attorney, particularly even either a patent attorney or an intellectual property attorney, who can help you to negotiate the expectations of you within this organization or the company or the partnership that you're working with, but also what you have to do as it relates to your university. So to know what the consulting agreement would be, like how much can you engage, what roles could you play within an outside organization, these are all things that need to be answered, and you need to make sure that you are not infringing upon any intellectual property that does belong to your institution when you work with someone outside of the institution as well. So because I also started my own company and didn't just work on someone else's company, I had to get an operating agreement together, also look at articles of organization. I have to file taxes because I do have an LLC, and there's just a completely different structure. Another point is if you work with graduate students on a project that is tangential to some of the research that maybe you're getting funded for, or you're supporting your students for, you want to make sure that you're very clear about whether or not those students are employed in your organization, and if so, how are they compensated differently, and just what are the rules at your institution to make sure that you are protecting yourself and you're protecting all the people who are in your organizational or your institutional research enterprise if you are at a research institution. So there's just so much to deal with, and I think that in the same way that there's so many people who are experts, please allow the legal experts to help you in developing documents and contracts that are sound and protect you and protect your intellectual property and just some other aspects within your life as well. So I think also the biggest lesson that I learned is knowing when to walk away from a collaboration. Many times I think we as academicians will want to invest so much into something, and we expect that return. We expect a publication or some type of grant to be written. But sometimes in the entrepreneurial realm, things do not happen the way that you think they will, also. And you may invest a little bit of money, you may invest your time, but if you know that things are eventually going to just get worse in a collaboration, you have to sometimes decide that it's best to part ways and to figure out how you're going to either repurpose this idea or just not work on the idea anymore. And I know for me that was very difficult because I'm used to having my plan, being very strategic, and moving forward in a positive way and having some type of deliverable. But my collaboration ended up being so tense that I just decided it was best for us to part ways because we did not believe in the same thing from a cultural perspective, particularly like the work environment and how we should work as a team. And I think in terms of ethics and character, we also had some issues as well. I did talk to my attorney about my colleague actually using my work and not wanting to give me credit for my work. And we determined that the litigation would be too costly for me. And the skills that I brought were great, but I'm going to possibly move ahead, with my own project in the future. So it's just not worth fighting. So you have to know once again and know when to hold them, know when to fold them. So, once again, I think that academic entrepreneurship is amazing. I think that it keeps your a professional life fresh. I think that it's something that adds another layer of credibility to you as an academician. But I think that you have to understand that the mindset of entrepreneurs is very different than the mindset of academicians, and to try and balance that along with time management and some other things can be a challenge. But I think there are great resources. So make sure that you look on your campuses to see if there are resources like in a technology commercialization office. Look to see if there are any workshops, possibly connect to people who own their own businesses. Look online, look at Twitter, do searches, also looked at LinkedIn. And I think that you will learn a lot by just reading a lot of resources that are out there that give tips about business and about ways to be a successful entrepreneur while you are also pursuing your daily life. You also might want to do a search on side hustles, because many people will say that that's kind of the language, like when you don't give up your full-time job but you're still trying to work on another job. That's what we call a side hustle. So there's nothing wrong with that at all. Another thing that I recommend is listening to podcasts. So in your spare time, which I know you have plenty of, you should look for people who are doing amazing things and interviewing people who've already done what you're trying to do. One of the podcasts that I listen to is Doubt the Doubts by Paul Blais, Blais, and he does great work. There's another site that I look at. It's by Regina, BYREGINA.com, and she talks about blogging. So if you have a business, there may be a way for you to get more clients by just blogging about what you do and letting people see your visibility. Something else that I've done as an entrepreneur is try to be as visible as possible outside of just trying to do cold sales with people. So I have this YouTube channel, www.preparedtobea is also my website, where I blog about my life, but I also blog about my services. I also have an active Twitter life, an active Facebook life, and I've found some great opportunities. So these opportunities have also helped me, and the social media activity has helped me make connections, so that I did attend a tech conference in Atlanta. I have been asked to serve on a board for a conference in Los Angeles related to tech, and I'm just finding people who are doing really neat things in areas that I would not find at my home institution. So that's another reason to connect to people as an entrepreneur. So those are my tips. I wish you well as you move forward in whatever you do. I think that it's important to be ambitious and to not doubt yourself as you move forward in new spaces that you've never conquered. So I wish you well. Once again, check me out, social media, and let me know if I can help you. Thanks so much.